Hello there and welcome to another PogChamps video, and this time around I'm going to look at the match between Myth and Sardoche. Or is it Sardoche? I'm not sure. I like Sardoche. Sardoche. Anyway, huge shout out to Sardoche, who, well, he liked one of my pattern recognition videos, which I thought was fantastic and got some nice views, so really appreciate that. And well, I must say, I've looked at matches from Negreanu and Rainn Wilson, and to my mind, they seem like the favorites to win the tournament. But I think Sardoche is actually quite good as well. He has a nice rating and seems to be playing a lot of games. And let's see what happens. This is actually the second round. He won in the first round, so it looks like he will be advancing to the knockouts. So in this game he has the black pieces against Myth, and yeah, both of these guys have huge following online. 1 million subscribers for Sardoche and 7 million for Myth, who's apparently a former huge Fortnite streamer. And they play the Sicilian. Knight to f3, d6, d4, takes, knight f6, and well, the main move to protect the pawn is knight to c3, but Myth plays bishop d3. Nothing fundamentally wrong with the move, but knight c3 is more common. And Sardoche goes for a6. Looks like he's been training the knight off. So solid so far. Castles, e6. So black sets up a typical Sicilian setup with the pawns like this. So he's conceding some space, but black is really solid. c4 now by white. And the opening is actually very well played by both players. Up until this point, because the move queen a4, it doesn't really serve any purpose. There's no real battleground on the queen side. So the queen, we don't know if we need it there just yet. So it's better for white to develop, play knight c3, and get on with the game. But okay, he plays queen a4, and black takes the opportunity to gain a tempo on the queen. Good move. Queen goes back. Knight pushes the bishop. Fine as well. And now knight c6. White now moves the queen for the third time. So breaking the opening principles a little bit, because he moved the queen to a4, back to c2, and now to b3. So this is time that could have been better spent, because we have a knight on the back rank. We need to develop it. Anyway, black finishes good Sicilian development. Queen very often belongs on c7. Now the rooks are connected, and now black will usually start thinking about how he can either put some pressure on white or create some pawn breaks in the center. Knight c3 by white, and now e5. Yeah, I want to add one little pattern here. If we go back here instead of queen a4, and it's a thing that black needs to be careful about in the Sicilian. So let's say instead of queen a4, which was played here, white played queen a4. Let's say he gets on with development, knight c3. And we have development similar to what happened in the game, bishop d7, and now rook c1. Something like this, very plausible. Black, when he puts the queen on c7 against the rook on c1, and with a knight on c6. This is a pattern that black needs to be aware of, because white can now play the knight to d5. Utilize the fact that the rook is lined up against the queen. So this happens in many openings. I've had this in many of my games. And the thing is, if black captures the piece, we take with a pawn, we open the file, and now the trades will leave white in a good positional, with a good position. You know, positionally, black will get some weak pawns, and white will get good pieces. So generally, this is something for black to be careful about. But back to the game, queen a4, and let's get back to the position where we went off tangent here, and knight c3. So Sardoche played e5, knight f5, takes, and now bishop d8. Generally, I understand the move. Black is worried about the weakness of b6, and he wants to add some protection to it. But it was better maybe just to try to get the rooks into the game somehow. but nothing too critical. F4, rook to E8. Yeah, this was actually quite a tense game and could have gone both ways. So black goes for the E file here. Rook takes E5, rook after E1, and knight G4. Now the black pieces are coming nicely into the game. Pressure on this bishop, but white goes for the counterplay. Attacks the queen, queen A5, and knight B6. Queen takes B7 was actually interesting, but he went with knight B6. And now black takes over. He takes on E3. Black takes the rook. And now it would have been very interesting to play queen C5. Black played knight D4. But now I'm once again going to plug my pattern recognition videos. And queen C5 would have set up one of the nicest checkmate patterns there is, the smothered mate. For instance, if white now takes the pawn on B7, similar to what he did in the game, we play knight G4. Knight D1 is actually a quicker mate, but knight G4, it's an important pattern, so we're going to show that. Knight to G4 to check by the queen now. The king goes here, queen F2 mate. So the king goes to the corner, and now this very important mechanism of the smothered mate. Knight F2 is check. King here, knight H3 is double check by the knight and the queen. So the king has to move again. The king goes here, the queen drops down and gives mate on F2. So the corner looks safe, but now we land the smothered mate, queen to G1, takes and knight F2. Check out the smothered mate video if you haven't seen this one. Cool pattern that everybody loves a smothered mate. So queen C5 would have been a very sneaky move. Instead, knight D4, still logical, getting the pieces in. Queen takes B7, and now knight D to C2. This was white's probably last chance to bail out. He could have taken now. Bishop takes C2, knight takes and rook takes E5, and he's over the worst. But he played queen to D7, and now black grabs the material. Knight takes E1. He tries to get the knight out, but it is protected. Black has two pieces protecting the square, so he just takes the knight. B4, and now queen B6. Again, we get the opportunity to give the smothered mate. So knight C2 was a nice move by Sardoche, but the best move was actually knight takes C4. This means that we can't play C5. If the king goes to the corner, we take this rook, it's checkmate. And if king F1, beautiful mate here, knight to D2. The knight gives check from here, and the queen is covering this. These two squares, and then finally the rook is covering these. So checkmate. We also could have gone for the smothered mate again, but then white might have been able to play C5, and we'd have to be careful. So knight takes C4 would have been best, but knight G4 also works here. Knight C2 also a strong move, and the rest was easy for Sardoche. He just grabbed the material. He's covering the back rank, the rook is covering this, bishop is covering this, and if queen here, bishop back to D8, queen back to D4, yeah, and probably in time trouble here. Black is finishing the job. We could have finished with a lawnmower mate, which we saw in Rainn Wilson and Michel Kerr. Here, here, and then here. So we could have played this. The king goes up, and then mate. Lawnmower mate, surprisingly effective even in such a situation. But it wasn't many more moves here, and Sardoche won. Queen takes G4 mate. Good win, and I think Sardoche seems to be on par with, even better than Negreanu. But Negreanu is improving, and Rainn Wilson, well, the jury is out. But let's go to the second game. And here, it's clear that Sardoche is under French influence, because he plays G4, the Grob. Grob's attack. And, well, there's a famous game where a French streamer called BlitzStream, I think he won or drew against Magnus Carlsen using the Grob. So I guess it's a famous opening in France. So G4, E5. Sometimes it's effective for black to go for D5 and simply attack the pawn. But there are some tricks for white there, so you have to be careful. E5, solid move. Bishop d2. And now, in most openings, if you're offered to grab the center, you should do that. So probably nothing wrong with d5 here. But knight f6, it's a natural move, but you have to be slightly careful. In the game, g5 was played by Sardoche, and surprisingly, after knight g4, that's a blunder. You have to put the knight somewhere else, either back here, or try to put it here, which should be safe. You can protect it with a pawn, or jump to here. But knight g4 is simply a blunder, because h3 and the knight is trapped. Now, black should try to get as much material as he can for the knight. So taking on f2, followed by maybe taking on g5, would have been a good idea. But black took on g5. Now we should take the piece. In the game, Sardoche played d4. But now, there was a chance actually for black here, unbelievably. Looks bad, but black has a brilliant move here. Queen is attacked, knight is attacked. We can play knight e3, block the attack on the queen, attack white's queen, and attack the knight. Sorry, the bishop. And this turns the tables completely, which is unbelievable. But Myth didn't see it, and he actually blundered quite badly. His fifth move, bishop b4. Black has played 5 moves, and he has 3 pieces under attack. And that's not a good deal. And the problem is, because you have an extra piece now under attack, after knight e3, now we can actually just play the bishop to f3. And we're going to win material. So knight here, now we can play this move. You take the queen, I take your queen. And this is hanging at the end, so white comes out on top. And long story short, Myth just had a meltdown here, didn't see that his queen was attacked, and Sardoche simply mopped up, took the queen, took the knight, and now it's just a matter of time. Opens up the position. Okay, he wanted to protect the pawn before putting out the knight. Not a big fan of the move, but quite okay. The knight comes out with tempo, takes the pawn, and this didn't last long. I would have liked to see maybe the queen head over to the king side, go for the mate immediately, but this is fine. Now he took on b7 and, well, took all the material on offer. And in this game we clearly saw a huge strength difference. Sardoche simply way ahead in his chess development. He took on c8, and in the end we have a checkmate here after rook to e8, h7 check. This postpones things, but this allows white to mate. After king f8 he promoted to a queen, and checkmate. So yeah, definitely I think Sardoche will be in the running. It will be interesting to see what happens, but I think those three have the biggest chances as far as I can see. Maybe there are some others. I need to maybe see a few more matches, but to my mind, at the present moment, these three look like the favorites. So once again, thank you for your attention. I do appreciate likes always, and hope to see you soon in another chess video. Bye bye.